Hello everyone and welcome to PlumesCast. My name is Seth, aka PhantasmaPlumes, and I'm coming to you pre-recorded from the game room. As always, I thank you for tuning in today. If this is your first episode, hello and welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here. And if you're a returning listener, well, welcome back. I missed you. I'm not going to make the same joke as last time, but you know, I appreciate you coming back. I thought I was scared you away by 2 episodes. If you're here, I really do appreciate you. But yo, before I really get started on today's topic, which is Weebs and love, I want to pat myself on the back real quick, because your boy is feeling amazing, alright? I just did some tactical espionage type shit to get my girlfriend's last, few presents, which, by the way, Julia, honey bunny, darling, if you have not received your presents, because by the time this goes up, we should have already celebrated, month anniversary and early Valentine's together. So if you have not received your presents, please pause the recording. You will have to wait, because I'm about to pop off about how your boy picked up this stuff while you were at work like a fucking spy, yo. Alright? So, if you have received it, I hope you enjoy it. It was a lot of fun coming up with this gift package for you. But anyway, no. I want to pat myself on the back because my girlfriend works in a mall, right? And we had walked around together. She saw this Kirby backpack that she really liked, and I kept the mental note of it. So, fast forward to earlier tonight, and I make my way into the mall that she works at. I get it, and it was a whole little interaction because there's 2 backpacks. So, one was this copy ability backpack that had all these different, Kirby copy abilities. And then there was this other one that was a cotton candy one that was stenciled. Now, I did a little bit of research. Your boy does a little bit of thinking here and here. Looking online to see if they even had it before I even, landed the plane down to begin my mission. And, it said that this cotton candy colored one with stencils of Kirby on it was a box lunch exclusive, and they only had a limited stock. I'm like, yo, if I find this is what I'm gonna get. But I go in there, I see both of them, and I'm like, fuck. I know she likes this one, but I think she would like this other one just as much, if not more, because it fits her color aesthetic. And I'm like, thinking emoji. And at one point I have both the backpacks in my hand, and God bless this little worker that comes up to me. And I will say this too, I am very talkative when I, sense a good nature. I know that doesn't really make a whole bunch of sense, but it's if I can tell you are bored and you want something just to do, I will make you laugh. That is my goal in every conversation. If I can make you smile, same thing with the podcast. If I can make you smile one time, ayo, I'm doing good. So, I look at this girl, because she's like, hi, can I help you find something? And I'm like, ma'am, I'm an idiot. I need advice. I tell her that's for Valentine's Day. I tell her that my girlfriend's a massive Kirby fan. I'm like, if your boyfriend was giving you one of these, which would you prefer? And she's like, the cotton candy one. I'm like, hell yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So I get this and pay for it. I get her something else as I'm in there too, because there's something else a Sailor Moon shirt that she liked. And I'm like, bet. But yo, when I say I was walking around like a fucking spy, because here's the thing, I knew she was working that day, but I didn't know what her break schedule is, and I knew that she sometimes liked to walk around. And, I was so scared that she would see me, scampering about with this bag that, would ruin the surprise. And I'm like, no. So, and, the worst part was, and I'm gonna be completely transparent here, it is the 8th, it's 8:44 p.m. I have not eaten dinner yet. Ayo, Taco Bell was smelling really yummy, and I was just like, bruh, I kind of want to eat a quesadilla, and I look down at my MyFitnessPal and I have 1,000+ calories that I could go up to for today, and I'm just like, man, I could eat a quesadilla. That'd be a chicken quesadilla. and that'd be amazing. But then I'm sitting there and I'm like, wait, what if she comes in? What if she comes in during her break and she sees me there eating a chicken quesadilla? One, first she catches me in the act. But then two, I didn't even text to offer a taco. I am dead. No, I'm really not. She would probably just be ecstatic to see me. Hopefully, I don't know. I don't know. Honestly, I'm still kind of in a rush about it because, like, the entire time where I'm doing it, I had like that Metal Gear theme. It was like dun 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 dun. Just going through. I probably looked like such a fucking weirdo. But I had so much fun planning this. This is my first Valentine's with somebody in like a hot minute. So I wanted it to be special. It's also our month anniversary coming up. So I'm kind of combining gifts. And Julia, I hope you have enjoyed it. I don't want to spoil all the surprises. I don't want to make it seem like I'm like, oh man, I'm the best gift giver. No, I just really hope you've enjoyed your little surprise, and I hope you enjoyed this little shout out. And thank you for being so amazing. I hope you get the biggest use out of everything. Anyway, with that said, hey guys, our topic today is Weebs in Love. It is Valentine's Day coming up, my dudes. Love is in the air. Honestly, I know how some of you feel about that saying. I'm sorry, but I have to say it. I saw so many hearts while I was walking around the mall. And I was getting pumped because I'm like, when I start coming up with topics, I come up with the topic usually the week before, and then I give myself like a couple of days to think of like ideas as to what to talk about. Especially if like I don't get a whole bunch from you guys. Like I pitch the idea, and if you guys seem receptive to it, it's like, okay, cool. I will continue on with this, unless somebody throws a curveball at me. Nobody threw a curveball at me this time. In fact, I was talking it over with one of my buddies, and he actually gave me tonight's question. So, I really was like going through, I'm like, okay, what kind of things do I want to talk about? Why me of all people? Because let me be entirely straight up with you guys too. I am no dating guru. I'm an idiot. At the end of the day, if you guys have seen me on stream, twitch.tv/PhantasmaPlumes, by the way, or you see me on Twitter, @PhantasmaPlumes, by the way, I'm a goofball at the end of the day. I still can't tell when people are flirting with me. Thankfully I don't have to worry about that. Well, my girlfriend flirts with me, and I just kind of sit there with like a goofy smile, like, oh, you're so cute. And she looks at me and she's like, I was flirting. And I was just like, oh, nice. But I really just wanted to do this because, look, I wanted to empower some of you guys. I know, some of you listening out there don't have anybody for Valentine's Day. Or maybe you have like a crush that you haven't gotten the confidence to speak to yet. Ayo, let your boy pump you up a little bit. Let me give you a little bit of advice, things that I've learned. Because here's the thing too, is I was in the same position, last year. I was in the same position the year before. And a lot of the stuff that guys will find about dating, and this is mainly targeted towards men, this part, but a lot of the stuff us guys will find about dating is like objectifying. It's toxic. Like you want to, some people will be like, oh, you have to let her know that you are interested early on, and you have to force her on the date. You do not let her say no. And it's just like, hey, that's a really fucked up. And the problem is like some people will see that and run with it. And it's like, I hate that mindset of, that subtle objectivity where it's just like, oh, well, this is just the way things are. This is how, no. Like this shit has changed so much over the past couple of years. Just like in these past couple of years alone because of, COVID, the rise of dating apps, just e-dating in general, long distance dating, has become so much more common now because of the internet and social media and being able to meet so many different people, that like a lot of the trends that we grew up with that we believe that we had to do aren't relevant anymore. So like let me give you the idiot's guide to finding love, because I just want y'all to be able to, go out there and figure out, a couple more things yourself. Because you don't need to be like this objectifying alpha male gamer to find the right person. And I hate that there's so much stuff out there that makes you feel that way if you read it through or you just listen to some of this stuff. Like, I've watched so many ads that's just like, I learned this one phrase that made women swoon for me. And like, it's a 30-minute ad, and this dude just talks about, like, how big his cock is. He doesn't. But it's just like, oh man, I developed this great strategy, and this is how I did it. And I used to be a loser like you. Loser, loser, loser. And just like, hey, that doesn't help anybody. So, let me give you the first Plumes Pearl of Wisdom. This whole episode's basically going to be a bunch of Plumes Pearls of Wisdom. This is stuff that, I've learned that I feel like you guys could use. And obviously, if you want to send in questions and get some advice, feel free to do so. Send it to PlumesCast@gmail.com. I want to, I want to be your friend in all this. I want to, gas you up. I want you to, I want to be your wingman for a little bit from the podcast. Don't listen to me while you're at the bar. Like, oh, all right, listen here, person. You're going to go up to them, and you're going to say these things, and you're going to get laid. No, dude. Listen to this when you're feeling down. Listen to this when you need a little bit of a boost. And ayo, you're going to be just fine. Like, let me just preference this whole thing. You're going to be just fine. If you are listening to this and you want to get better, you are already on the right step. If you're not sure where you want to be, hey, you got up. You started off the day. That's something too, dude. Be proud of that. And this also, even though I'm speaking this from a male perspective, this kind of goes for both, both parties. Whoever you're interested in, whatever your preferences are, by all means, this is for universal love. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. So, as I said, this is kind of going to be before you get into a relationship, when you're in the relationship, and then I'm going to give you guys some, heads up about my dating life. Because I want, at the end of this, I want y'all to laugh. I want y'all to be able to, kind of relish in the embarrassment of others. I'm not going to be talking, I'm not going to name names specifically, unless they're, very prevalent to the story that you guys know about. Otherwise, it's person A, person B. But anyway, to really get, started into this, look, here's the first thing I've learned about before you get into a relationship. And that's, you gotta figure yourself out, dude. By all means, you don't have to have everything figured out. Toss out that mindset that, schools want to toss on you, where, by the time you graduate college, or by the time you even get to college, you need to know what you want to do and be into it. No, dude. Your 18s to 20s to low 30s, you are learning about yourself. You're putting yourself in different situations. You are developing. You are growing as a person. By no means should you have everything figured out. The people that say they do have everything figured out are probably lying to either themselves or to you. And look, while you don't have to have everything figured out, at least have some, basic ground. Figure out what you want out of a relationship. Figure out, your love style, for example. If you sit down and you think about your friends, and you think about what you do to make them feel loved in your friend group, as friends, is it the same as what you would do romantically? Think about it. For me, my love language is time. I have been very busy growing up most of my life. For a time, I was working 3 jobs and working sysadmin. I unfortunately have to, dedicate a lot of my time, both inside and outside of work, to my profession. And so when I get to spend time with people, I genuinely love it. Like, even if we're just sitting around doing, nothing, we're watching, anime, we're playing games, I adore it more than words can ever say, because, Ayo, that's part of my precious time. If I chose to give that to you, whether it's by friendship or by, romance, that should mean something to you. Like, there was a time where I had to physically write down on a calendar, hang out with this person time to time, because I had classes, I had 3 jobs, I was busy. And, even though now that I'm a graduate and I'm out working in the real world and I have a much more calm schedule, I still schedule out time. And I still have that same value of my time, because I realize how quickly it can go. And I realize we don't know how much time we have on this earth. But that's also, my love language. Your love language could be acts of service, where somebody, comes up and takes you out to lunch. It could be gift giving. It could be gift receiving. It could be any number of things. There's a whole, if you go online and type in love languages, you will find so many different bits and pieces. There's surveys out there. Figure that out first. Figure out the kind of love that you want to have. And figure out the kind of love that you can give. If you've never been in a relationship before and you're getting into it and it's brand new, be open to it. Be open to whatever feelings that you feel and learn the way that you love. Because from there, you can start building on your relationship. And this goes from, even beyond just even beyond, dating. This is friendships. This is work relationships. You figure out yourself and the way you communicate with others and what you appreciate and what you don't. And you can actually just build up every relationship you've ever had, because you just understand yourself that much more. And with that, on the same coin, flip it around, figure out what you want out of a relationship. What kind of love language do you want back? What kind of person should you date? Look, people can go and see, anybody on the side of the road, walking on the sidewalk and be like, oh, they're cute. He's cute. She's handsome. So on and so forth. But you don't really know their personality. Do you want to date somebody for their looks? By all means, you can. No one's going to judge you for that. At least no one should. If that is what you prefer out of somebody, by all means, go for it. But know that about yourself. And then here's another thing, too. As you go through relationships, again, friendships, romantic, love type relationships, figure out the things that you like and what you don't. It's okay to eventually let friendships decline. It's okay to break up with partners and say, hey, this just isn't working out for me. Because you have to allow yourself to grow in the relationship too. You can't let yourself just come to a full stop because of somebody else. You have to continue to allow yourself to be you. And here's, another bit about before you get into a relationship. You need to be able to define what you want for yourself overall. At the end, and this is going to sound real messed up, but you need to be somewhat selfish. I've seen a number of friends get into relationships that they don't really get out of despite them being unhappy because, this was the only thing they ever knew. All right? And they stopped their own personal growth, stilted it, so that way they could be with somebody else that's kind of taking advantage of them. You need to be somewhat selfish in a relationship because you came into this world by yourself. Unfortunately, you're probably going to leave it out by yourself too. Don't allow anyone else, before a relationship, in a relationship, after a relationship, to change you in a way that you don't want to change. You yourself need to be the number one priority. And let me just say this too, as a way to gas you up. Listener, dear friend, you are worth every single moment, every single thought, every single, second that you think about yourself, that you take care of yourself, that you reflect on yourself. You deserve every single moment of that. Because no one else is going to do it. Unfortunately, you're going to have people that love you in life, but nobody's going to understand you better than you. And you need to be able to read yourself and be able to say, okay, this makes me happy. This makes me sad. And you need to be able to communicate that. Before you get into a relationship, you need to be able to sit down with yourself and say, this is where I'm at. This is what I'm willing to give. This is what I'm wanting to receive. And balance it all out. If you feel like you're going to give, or if you feel like you're going to take more in a relationship because of your mental state, your physical capacity, anything like that, you want somebody to take care of you and it's just not going to be a healthy relationship, then don't get into a relationship. Don't rush into things. Don't, get into something because it's easy. Allow yourself to build yourself up until you feel like, okay, if I get into a relationship now, it's going to be equal, or it's going to be 60-40, or it's going to be, 40-60, but you're eventually going to work it back. You want it to be as close to equal as possible. Now, that said, don't be afraid to be expressive with your partner. I can say this straight out. I'm very emotional. Unfortunately, I've gone through a lot of traumatic events in my life. Not to really go into it right now. But which has left me more emotional than what most men are. And I talk to my partner about it. And I feel like, I tell her straight out, like, sometimes I'm like, this isn't the manly thing to do. And she kind of has to bonk me and be like, well, you know what? Traditional masculinity is bullshit. And you know that. You need, as you figure yourself out and as you get ready to go into a relationship, you also kind of need to allow yourself to open up. Be able to have these a little bit harder conversations. Now, by no means on the first date be like, well, let me tell you about all the trauma I went through. No. But as it comes up naturally in the relationship, be okay with eventually opening yourself up enough to talk about it. Because, let me say this too, it feels a lot better when you can talk about, your own issues with somebody else that cares about you. If you don't have that person in your life already. Let that partner become another resource for you. If they truly want to see you succeed, and they truly care about you, they'll listen. They want you to get better because they want to see what you can do in the world. Hell, I want to see what you can do in the world. I want to see the impact you make. And if it takes me sitting by and listening to a conversation about, something that's bothering you, then I'll do it. And I want to do it. If it's something that, from your past, then talk to me. Let me, shoulder some of that burden so you can handle it better. So, and honestly, this is getting a little more into the before you get into a relationship and when you're in the relationship. But, ultimately, you need to be accepting. You need to also level your, expectations a little bit. You can't expect somebody to do X, Y, and Z for you off the bat. You have to be able to say, this is what I'm willing to give. This is what I'm willing to, or this is what I want to receive. So again, if that power balance isn't there, spend just a little bit more time working on you. Figure out how to bring that back down. You want to be able to help your partner in times of need. You want to be able to be there for them. in whatever way that is. Obviously there are going to be ways, like certain ways that you can't. Financially is going to be one of the hard ones, especially in this current, economical climate. But at the same time, you can still be there for them as a person. You can still be there for them as a friend. You can still be there for them as a lover. And accept that, you and your partner are going to make mistakes. Figure out, whether or not you're, serious about this. If you're willing to fight for a relationship. And obviously I know I'm kind of rambling on this one too. But ultimately, you got to be able to be open to change. Experience new things together with your partner. Experience, old things with your partner too. You might learn something about yourself. You might learn something about them. Don't limit yourself because you're nervous. Don't limit yourself because you're scared. You have to be, you can live your entire life sheltered away. And if that's your prerogative, by all means, please continue to enjoy it. Here's your crown. But if you're letting something from your past, something, from your present, stop you and limit you, then talk to your partner about it. Figure out, hey, I want to get to this point. And if you don't have a partner yet, talk to your friends about it. Talk to somebody you trust. Talk to a therapist. And get to that point, however means it takes, or whatever means it takes. Do it. Because you only got one shot on this earth. Now, you're going to meet, here's the thing too. And this is, again, before and while you're in a relationship. People are going to come in and out of your life. You have to be able to kind of, take it gracefully. Some people will come into your life, make the biggest difference, and unfortunately fade away. Do what's right to that memory of them and continue on in that memory and become stronger because of them. Learn the things that you liked from all of that. Learn the things that you disliked. And what you'll find is, over time, you're going to become a better partner. You're going to become a better person, even if you don't really see it right now. You ultimately are going to find yourself. And that's either going to be completely with other people, or completely with the help of other people, or completely on your own. You're going to look back and be like, damn, I really grew up. And I want you to sit here for a second. Let's just take a moment, all right? And do that, exact activity right now. I want you to look back in your past. Just close your eyes. Think about the past X amount of years of your life. Look at what you came from. Look at what you're in. And look at where you're going. If you don't like where you're going, here's your wake-up call. If you have overcome hardships, which I'm sure all of you have listening in, whether they're big or small, relative to, your own situation, they're all valid. And if you struggle with something that, people don't really recognize, but you have overcome it, hey, here's that recognition you need. You did it. You overcame another mountain. And I'm proud of you. You became something a little better. And even if you're on a downward spiral too, all right? Even if you feel like you're on a downward spiral, there's always the opportunity to pull yourself back up and be the person you want to be. It's hard. I'm not going to lie and say it's easy. You're going to sit and you're going to have to stare at yourself in the mirror a couple of times. At least that's what I did. And that, I used to wake up and tell myself, hey, today I'm going to be happy. Today I want to be happy. Today I want to do better. And gradually you will get there. Speak what you want into the world. Now, having seen everything you've come through in the previous X amount of years, I want you to sit there and be proud of everything you've done. You've woken up every day to this point. Even if that doesn't seem like a big thing, you're here. That's the biggest gift life can give. You have friends. You have people that care about you. Whether or not you realize it or not right now, you do. And you have ample opportunity to meet hundreds of thousands of new faces every day of your life going forward. So if you haven't found the right person yet, or you think that right person got away from you, buddy, there's so many more people out there. You know, here's the thing too, you know, in talking about all this, let yourself be open to, you know, what feels right. You know, as stupid and as cliche as it is, sometimes you're just going to know that, hey, you want to go talk to this person, you know, or, hey, this person is, you know, making, like, I noticed this person from across the room. Let yourself, you know, take the chance. Give it a shot. You never know where it's going to go. My current girlfriend, the reason me and her are dating is because I had that aha moment. I saw her, you know, when I went to go see one of my best friend's girlfriends or partners. And they, you know, introduced me. After I'm like, hey, can you tell me about this person? And the rest is history. I just had a moment of, I want to talk to that person. Something about them seems unique, and I want to get to know them. And I'm so grateful that I've taken the opportunity to do so. And look, it's not always going to work. Unfortunately, you know, as we grow up, people can grow apart. It's okay. You have to be open to that. You have to be willing to roll with the punches. It's kind of how life goes. And if you are in a relationship like right now, and you don't feel comfortable in it, you don't feel respected, you don't feel loved, you feel like you've talked to your partner, and, like, by all means, talk to them, communicate. Be willing to have those tough conversations with each other. But if you don't feel like you are happy right now, then why are you continuing to sacrifice your happiness? It goes back to the whole, you gotta be a little bit selfish. Look, I realize this episode has gone, you know, all other, like, 100 different degrees. But let me, you know, cone it all in for a second, alright? Let me just funnel this all in, all these random thoughts, all these random tangents, into this. When you wake up in the morning, what do you need to be happy? Are you currently getting that? If you are not, how can you get there? If you don't know, what's a good starting step? If you don't know that, then continue to try and look. Don't ever give up on finding your happiness, because you may find one day very soon that your happiness is making someone else happy. Your happiness is someone else's happiness. Do not allow yourself to sacrifice yourself for somebody else that, you know, is taking more than they're giving. And allow yourself to be open to new opportunities and, you know, go out there. If you're not ready yet, that is completely fine. You will get there. Take the time you need. Everybody's different. And date around. You know, obviously don't, you know, do anything stupid. You know, don't date around just to date around. But if you feel a connection with somebody and it doesn't work out, okay. You learned. It hurts, but you learned. Go on to the next person and you'll be better equipped. figure out what you like. You figure out what you don't. But you will find your happiness. Of that, I'm certain. And I want you to get there. That said, I absolutely have kind of ran this topic all around the place. So I kind of want to, bring it back in and make y'all laugh a little bit, because this was definitely more of a serious type episode. But I want to talk to y'all about my dating life, all right? And this is, before current girlfriend. I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to bring up a bunch of exes, because that's not really going to help anybody. But to make you kind of realize that, hey, you're not alone in this. My best friend, Jaleel, all right? There was one point where we went off on I don't want to call it cross-state tour, but that's kind of what it was back then, because we weren't really, driving a whole bunch. So to set the stage, I got into a car accident, like, the weekend before I was supposed to meet somebody that I was dating for the first time. Like, it was a long-distance relationship. And I dislocated my shoulder, and I was not 100% sure if I could drive. They gave me pain pills that basically put me on my ass when I took them. All right. So I was like, okay, you know what? I am going to, I'm gonna get Jaleel. I'm gonna be like, hey man, because we were living together at the time. I'm like, hey man, I'm going to go do this thing. I want you to be there just in case, one, something bad happens, but more realistically, I'm in too much pain to drive back. He agrees. We go over there. Long story short, the experience was god-awful. And on the way home, this man absolutely reamed the shit out of me. And, it was well-deserved. Because, it was just a really bad experience in the sense that, we kind of got into me and my, at the time, girlfriend kind of got into an argument because, I wanted her to come meet my friend and she wanted me to come meet her parents. And I was just like, ayo, wait, what? So on the way back, after buying Jaleel a Fox Amiibo for his time, Jaleel had basically, just reamed me the entire time getting back. And the next morning, I wake up, and Jaleel is sitting in my doorway. And he's like, alright, I got a new rule for you. I'm like, alright, what's up? In order for you to date, you need to get 3 girlfriends past me. You need to get 3 separate girls approved by me before I trust you to date again. Because I had gone on a string of bad dates prior to. And I had done the bad roommate thing, and I dragged Jaleel along. To me, it was hilarious. He has a much different perspective on it. And rightfully so. But, so he's just like, yo, you have to get 3 girls past me in a row. And if you can't do that, then, you're stuck on this rule. I don't trust you to date on your own. So, and, the worst part was, if I was on number 3 and he didn't like her, I reset back to 0. So, ever since he set that rule up for me, I he didn't really approve of many girlfriends during that time. He is approved to Julia, and that's been, he's been very vocal on that one. He's like, you know what? You're number 1. I hope you're the only one. And I'm just like, you know what? I kind of hope that too. But it honestly is just one of those things where it's you sit there and you kind of figure, I figured out very quickly at that point, my love style is time. The people that were giving me time, at my self-esteem level, it was just oh yeah, no, this is great. I feel so happy. And then I find out they weren't exactly the best people because, I wasn't really looking past that. It's something that I learned. another thing that I learned is I love fast and I love hard. If I feel safe around you, if I feel like I can trust you, I absolutely will put my faith in you. And I learned that because I had a partner that cheated on me. And I still held true to them while they were cheating on me for a couple of months. Because I wanted to, I didn't realize it at first. But that's, after the whole thing's over and I picked myself off the ground. And mind you, this is not like we break up, I'm down on the ground for a day. No, this shit took a year. This shit took a whole year for me to really get up and be okay with the concept of dating again. And in that time I dated somebody else and I thought I was okay, and it turns out I wasn't. And I broke things off with them. And thankfully I'm still friends with that person. We harass each other every now and again. But it was one of those things where it's I learned very quickly that if I'm not, in a good headspace, I'm not going to be in a good headspace for anybody. And I learned that, okay, I need to work on me before I'm ready to start dating somebody again. And that's, kind of the whole thing that I'm trying to impart on you guys. It's look, you're going to have your ups and your downs, but know when things are hurting you to the point where it's just this is not good for me. This is not good for my partner. And be able to say, hey, we need to take a break. We need to, or we need to break things off. Because it's better to end things early in something that's hurting you than carry it on until more and more, or it becomes more and more difficult. You don't want to marry somebody that you're unhappy with. But, and, both of those people, like I said, did not get Jaleel's seal of approval. So having the one with Julia just feels amazing right now. But that said, here's another, experience of mine. So early on in my dating, life, I figured out that I am extremely patient, and that I can wait for my partner. My first real dating experience, my girlfriend at the time did not let me hold her hand for a couple of months because she was just that nervous. The whole thing was brand new to her, but I could wait. We didn't hold hands until, 4 months in, maybe a little bit longer. We didn't have our first kiss until a year, and we dated for 2.5 years. So, but it was just something else that I learned about myself. Now, I figured out real quick at the end of that relationship that, unfortunately, I do have a martyr's personality. I will, the reason why that relationship fell apart was because she thought I was, cheating on her with her best friend, when that was so far from the truth. What ended up happening was her best friend got herself in a bit of hot water. She wanted somebody there to be with her, and it so happened to be on a date night for my girlfriend and I, and ultimately I sided with her best friend, because I looked at my girlfriend and I said, look, your friend needs us. If you want to fight this out, we can do this another time. But your friend needs us. I'm going to be there for your friend. Yeah, and you look back at it, and when the relationship ends, and this is why I'm telling this story. When the relationship ended, it devastated me. I thought I was going to end up marrying that person, and it didn't happen like that. But at the same time, at the end of it, looking back at it, I'm really glad I didn't marry them, because I grew up so much more having had the experience of dating somebody and then going off after the fact and figuring out myself more because of the experiences that we had together, and figuring out, okay, I'm an extremely patient person. I'm an extremely, kind-hearted person. I want to see my partners succeed. I know what my like what kind of love languages I communicate best with. Like acts of service is one of, like, I can easily do acts of service. I can easily do, gifts. I can easily do time. Well, back then I could easily do time. But I figured out what my dominant love languages were. And then as I, was flirting around with people and it never really took off because we didn't, match enough, I understood why. And I figured out, okay, there's more things that I'm not interested in or I am interested in. And thankfully is all culminated into, hopefully, me being a better person at the end of the day. And I say all this too, for everybody out there that's ever gone through a heartbreak, I hope if you haven't been able to see it now, if it still hurts to think about, that one day you can look back and see the things that you've learned from it. And be proud that you went through the experience. Be happy about the good memories. Keep those good memories close to your heart. But don't let the bad memories scare you off from the next big adventure. That said, I don't keep in contact with that ex anymore. I used to for a number of years. And unfortunately, time just kind of... COVID was really the real pusher, but it was just one of those things where we just kind of grew further and further apart. So it is what it is. And at the end of the day, I'm grateful for the experience. And if that person hears this podcast, I hope you realize that I am still thankful for the opportunity we had together. I'm thankful for the time that we were together. And I'm thankful you allowed me to continue to grow in my own way. So that way I can make someone else happy. That said, this is actually a really good sequitur into tonight's question, which is, for someone that is mostly offline, how would you meet somebody in a digital-centric world? So I kind of touched about this earlier on, how dating has really changed on, a number of fronts. Because of COVID, we have seen a radical normalization of dating apps. But because of that, we've also kind of seen a certain fickleness come about, everything. And unfortunately, it's one of those things where you sit there and you kind of question, what exactly, like, how would you meet somebody if you didn't use a dating app or if you didn't know somebody of somebody? And unfortunately, I don't exactly have the end-all to be-all answer. But I do have the most true answer of all of it. Is, hey, those face-to-face greetings still happen. You just have to be open to seeing them. Put yourself in positions, in situations where you might find somebody you're interested in. For example, if you're like me who likes to read and work on computers, I will put myself in bookstores, in, computer stores, and just, if I see somebody that I want to talk to, maybe I'll go, walk up and strike up a conversation. It takes a bit of confidence. You will, so there are going to be people that look at you funny and just say, nothing. And then you just walk away from it. Don't be a creep about it and be like, hey, I'm trying to talk to you here, blah, 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 blah. No. But if you see somebody in a place that you think you would already have a common interest in, then by all means, take the first step and at least say, hey, strike up, I don't know, dude, strike up a conversation about, the place that you're at or something that you can, make a comment about, and as embarrassing as it is, don't be afraid to be a little bit dorky. Don't be afraid to be a little bit endearing. Don't be afraid to, look like a fool. Because some people really appreciate that you took the time to take the first step to go over and approach them. The thing that worked for me was I texted my now girlfriend, hey, this looks like the place, or I'm looking for a line, or no, what was it? Hey, I heard you were looking for somebody to send memes to at 3 a.m. Is this the line where I apply? Like, that was my first text message to her. She didn't know who I was, what I sounded like. She barely knew what I looked like off of Instagram. And, but she ran with it. Sometimes the stupidest little joke is enough to spark a conversation. And then, if you're enjoying the conversation with somebody, hit them with the good old, listen, I gotta go, but can I get your number? It doesn't always work. It's not, like I said, it's not the end all be all. But if you find yourself, like, you're out in a place, like, be out in places where you're wanting to find, or where you find somebody that has a common interest. And if you strike up a conversation, if you happen to, get that conversation going, you're both laughing, having a good time, ask them for the number. And then, text them for a couple of days. If it goes well, then hey, be like, listen, can I take you out for coffee? And, like, here's, my dating advice as, like, trying to talk as a friend here, instead of generic podcaster number 5073. When you go on these dates, all right, this is something that I've always done that's worked for me, is start with a coffee date. All right, start with something small. Don't take them out to dinner first thing. And if you do, by all means, don't pay for it. You can pay for some of it, but don't always do the chivalrous thing of, like, offering to pay all the time. It's complicated. Like, straight out, some people are like, oh, if you don't pay, then they ain't worth your time. Like, no, that's stupid. But do it in a way that feels non-committal. Something that's easy. Bubble tea, coffee, meet up in a park. I don't know. And just have a conversation. Talk with them. Get to know them face to face. If you're having fun and you're laughing, at that point you can say, hey, can I take you out to dinner? And at that point you can pay. Or, hey, I know this great bowling place nearby. Or, hey, there's a karaoke bar nearby. And then go over there. If they don't want to go, straight from the coffee date, that's chill. By all means, be like, okay, I understand. And then, when you get home or before you leave, try and secure the second date. And be like, hey, I had a lot of fun with you. Can we go do this? And if they say no, be like, okay, your loss. Don't say that. But, just be like, okay, I had fun. And then figure out, hey, what did I like about that person? What attracted me to that person? And then, figure out, okay, well, was there anything I didn't like about that person? For me, I don't like anyone that smokes. I grew up in a family of smokers. It's somewhat hypocritical because once every very blue moon eclipse, I'll light up a cigar. I haven't had one since 2016, but it was something my dad and I used to do. And I figured out, seeing what tobacco does to a family, I figured out, okay, I don't want to be with somebody that smokes. I don't want to be with somebody that does drugs. But if I was out on a first date with somebody and they smoked, I would gently pump the brakes. And that's the thing too, is like, don't be afraid. Like, if you go out on the first date with somebody and something doesn't feel right, listen to your gut. By all means, listen to your gut and say, okay, I understand, or something about this doesn't feel right. Don't tell them that straight up, but be polite, be civil, be like, hey, listen, I had a wonderful time on our date. Unfortunately, I'm not, feeling the same, or I'm not feeling, the same way about you, or I'd rather we just be friends. Because that's the thing too, guys. It's like, don't engage whatever party you're interested in only with relationships in mind. If you can, start as friends, because those are the best relationships. Spend a couple of like, my rule, and this kind of goes against Jaleel's, kind of goes in tandem with Jaleel's 3 girlfriend rule. I do the 3-date rule, where generally if I'm meeting somebody for the first time and we go out on date 1 and date 1 goes well and date 2 goes well, by like date 3 I know how I feel about somebody. And I give myself that much amount of time to figure out whether or not, oh, I have an infatuation, or actually I'm like really kind of interested about this person, or hey, I feel you more as a friend. You know, give yourself that time to like, you know, don't psychoanalyze people, but give yourself that time to figure out how you really feel about somebody. And then once you figure it out, if the feelings are the same, go with it. Go have fun. Discover love in your own way. You know, everybody wants this like textbook romance story where it's just like, I woke up to my Prince Charming and it's so good and I feel so in love. And it's like, unfortunately, not everybody's going to have that. Not a lot of people get to have that high school love romance that continues on through college. And that's okay. You know, love has changed a lot during the years. And the way that we all share and experience love is completely unique, and that's awesome. That means, you know, no two relationships are going to be exactly the same. And be proud about that. You know, and that also kind of all ties back to, you know, don't judge other people based on other people. You know, if you found something that you really liked in somebody else and, you know, the new person isn't hitting that, don't be like, well, my ex used to do this, my ex used to do that. No, you sound so clingy, you know, but don't subject somebody else to that. You know, it'd be better to find somebody else entirely if you, or, you know, even work on yourself to get over your ex to that degree. But that said, this is kind of getting off topic of, you know, the question. If you are really trying to stay offline, by all means, you need to start putting yourself in situations where you can meet the people that you're interested in. If you're not wanting to do dating apps, which I completely get because they are kind of fickle, they do kind of promote this, you know, I don't want to say quick romance, but it's kind of what it is, or instant romance, but sorry, my brain just kind of shut off for a second there. They do kind of promote this instant romance. And if you're not about that, which a lot of people aren't, then, you know, by all means, don't use them. But figure out other ways to, you know, find similar-minded people. You know, maybe go on Facebook or Meta, whatever they want to call it now, and find yourself, you know, a hiking group in the area. If hiking's your, you know, go-to, or fishing. Maybe go out and I think there's a couple of different websites like Meetups, I think is one, where you can put in, hey, this is what I'm going to go do, and go meet people. You know, like I said, unfortunately, you know, if you don't want to use the digital route and you don't exactly have friends, like, and it's the same for if you move to a new area, you know, and you're just trying to make platonic friends, the setup is the same. You need to go to places that you think would have the people that you're interested in. And if you go there and you find out, hey, this place ain't for me, okay, pick up and go. You learned something. It ain't wasted time. You figured out something you didn't like. Good for you. Be proud of that. But it's one of those things where you kind of got to experiment. You got to be open to, you know, new experiences, new adventures. Don't limit yourself off. And ultimately just have fun with it. You know, romance is one of the most beautiful things in the world when you find that right person. Or when everything just feels right. And you're going to have problems. You know, it's not always going to be the most amazing thing. But you're always going to recover if you have the right mindset. And I believe that everybody, you know, not because you're just listening to my podcast, but I believe that everybody listening to this can find that happiness. And I hope that you find that happiness. Because you deserve it. Everybody does. But anyway, I've been rambling now for over an hour. I actually, you know, my rule of being a one one-take show, like a Twitch stream. Unfortunately, I kind of had to break it because I was like, oh yeah, no, I accidentally left the sound on and I got to hear the outro. So I have once again surpassed my limits and have talked about love for a little too long, I believe. But that said, just as a FYI, next week we'll probably be talking about the wonderful world of education, talking about school, figuring out things like, what did I learn in school? What kind of things, helped me out? Especially as, some of y'all are getting close to that new year of school. Or, hey, maybe you're wanting to go to school and you don't know what to start with. Let me give you a little bit of, positive reinforcement. Now, mind you, that may completely change because I've recorded this now easily 2 streams in advance. So people might come up and be like, hey, Seth, I want you to talk about this on the next PlumesCast. And I'll be like, all right, sure, yeah, why not? But anyway, guys, seriously, thank you all so much for listening in. If you guys want to reach out to me at the show, feel free to do so by going to @PhantasmaPlumes on Twitter, sending me an email to PlumesCast, which is PlumesCast @gmail.com. That again is PlumesCast, PlumesCast @gmail.com. Send me your questions, comments, concerns, requests for Pearls of Wisdom. I'll gladly do another full hour section on, overcoming your fears or whatever else you guys want me to talk about. The whole point of this whole podcast is for me to have these conversations and just vibe out and talk into a microphone and maybe have some other people out here to, have fun. But that said, that is for another time. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. If you guys have somebody special for Valentine's Day coming up, I hope you're able to spend it with them and enjoy every second. I hope you guys have something fun planned. And hey, if you're not dating somebody now, go get yourself some sweets. The day after is like half off for candy, yo. Singles Appreciation Day 2022. It's coming around the corner, man. But that's it, guys. Thank you all so much for listening in. And as always, I'll talk to you again from the stars very soon. Until next time, everyone, I'll catch you later.